Transcript reading of Crown and Steel. Late one afternoon, one of the kitchen boys burst into the armory just Harris was putting away his gear after a lesson. Before scarcely skidding to a halt, he said, "Strangers are here. I've been looking everywhere for you." His eyes looked like they might pop out of his head, and his entire frame was quivering with more than being out of breath. But with what? Fear? "King Aidan sent me to find you. They came to see you." Harris frowned. He couldn't remember strangers from beyond their little valley ever finding them, though he did recall a message mentioned by his father once, so the messenger must have found his way through. "Where?" he asked. "Why would any stranger want to see me?" He was beginning to become just as alarmed as the kitchen boy. "They's waiting for you in the king's office." Without taking the time to splash water on his face, he hurried to his father's office, where he found him and Cornelius entertaining 3 strangers. Harris was immediately struck by how very different these men appeared compared to his father and most everyone else he knew. They, of course, wore their steel on their arms or shoulders, as rank might indicate, while his father's steel was displayed in every corner of the palace, and especially here. The greatest difference was between them in their faces and bearing. 2 of the strange men appeared to be older even than Cornelius, who, next to the cook's uncle, was the oldest person he knew. They were quite trim and stood very straight. Their faces were a dark brown, but the dark ended above the eyes. The sun heavily accented white lines around their eyes and mouths. His father, by comparison, was overweight, balding, and startlingly pale. Cornelius was in better shape, but he too had seen very little sun, and if appearance was anything to judge by, he hadn't sat in a saddle for years. The thought made Harris realize that he'd never seen the war marshal anywhere near a horse, nor had he ever seen his father step outside of the palace doors, whereas these strange men looked like they seldom stepped down from a saddle, let alone into a building. The youngest of the 3 looked just as hardened. "Harris, here you are, boy," greeted his father. "These men are from Carolinas. I told you about them." He waved his hand toward each man as he named him, starting with the youngest. "This is His Highness Prince Jonathan, 3rd son of King Carol. Lord Jasper, the king's ambassador, and this is Lord Leonis, high advisor to the king." He introduced his son in the same manner. "My lords, this is my son, Prince Harris. Harris," continued Aidan, "King Carol and I have agreed that both you and his young daughter are too young for marriage, and the ties that would accompany such a joining are too all-encompassing at this time. Instead, we have agreed to a mutual fosterage. So Prince Jonathan will stay here, and you will go to his palace to Carolinas, where you both shall remain until you reach your majority at the age of 20. Go now, pack your things. You will be leaving the day after tomorrow at dawn." Deliberately given no opportunity to speak, Harris knew he could say nothing without sounding like a child. So he bowed a brief greeting to the visitors and left. A few moments later, he heard running footsteps behind him and was surprised to see Prince Jonathan running to catch up. "You didn't know this was going to happen, did you?" said Jonathan. "No one tells me anything around here," said Harris. "I hope you don't mind being bored. Nothing ever happens here." Surprised at Harris's cynicism, Jonathan could only say, "No lessons? You can find any lessons you want if that's what you like. Just go to the library. Frederick's always there to teach you whatever you want to learn or answer any question you may have if it comes from a book. If you like weapons practice, go to the armory, and Balian, the arms master, will see to it that you get lessons in whatever weapon interests you. Or go to the stables if you want to go riding. You can do anything you want. No one will bother you with anything more." "Why?" Jonathan was incredulous. "Why what? That's just the way it is. It's different where you come from." They arrived at Harris's room. "This is my room." He splashed water on his face and combed his wet fingers through his hair. "Nice room. It's bigger than mine," said Jonathan as he poked around at the various items in sight and tested the view from the windows. "Really?" said Harris as he flopped down on his bed. "Do you have any brothers? I know you got at least one sister." Restlessly, he rolled off his bed and opened his armoire. "What do you think I should pack?" Jonathan curled up on the corner of the bed. "Just clothes, I guess, until you have something especially made for you or something you're partial to. I have 2 older brothers and 4 sisters." He sighed and twisted his steel cuff. "Girls are such a pain. I bet you're thankful our fathers decided against marriage." With surprise, Harris pulled his head out of the cupboard and asked, "Why?" Equally surprised, Jonathan said, "Oh, all girls ever talk about is dresses, colors, flowers, and such. The only girl I really like is my sister, Sorsha. She's older. She's 18 and in the military with my brother, Aiken. He's 20. A girl in the military? I never would have imagined. Harris tried to picture one of the maids dressed in armor and holding a sword. He dived back into his cupboard to hide his grin. Yeah, well, she ranted about it until Father finally made a deal with her. If she could satisfy the officers that she was good enough to pull her own weight, she could join. Father made sure they didn't cut her any slack either. Which one was supposed to be my wife? Harris asked, half afraid all the girls in the family were like this Sorsha. That would be Candace, but she's only 12, so you don't have to be worried about her for a little while yet. Mother hit the roof when Father told her about the offer. Father couldn't offer Sorsha now that she's in the military. By our laws, she can't marry until she's 20. She can't even be betrothed without her consent. Candace doesn't want to be in the military, does she? No, she's too shy. Sorsha tries to teach her something about fighting anyway. She says no sister of mine will be totally defenseless. Candy's so tiny, though, that she may be defenseless no matter what. I didn't see any girls around here. Do you have any sisters? No sisters, no brothers, replied Harris. The only women around here are the housemaids. You won't see them much. Mother has a personal maid, too, but she's older. Harris gave up on the closet. Come on, I'll show you the way to the stables. We can see what horses I'll be taking. How many horses will I need, anyway? Jonathan was surprised that his new friend would need to ask such a question. Have you ever gone anywhere at all? No, just into town or out riding once in a while, but never far, said Harris. Wow, do you even know where the other lords in your kingdom live or what they do? What other lords? Jonathan could only stare. Well, all I can say is, ready yourself. Boredom will be the least of your worries. Your saddle sores will keep you too busy.